Salam everyone. My humble pranams, the lotus feet of our beloved Swami. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Swami, for giving us the opportunity. May you give us the awareness that the one who speaks is you, the one who's listening from every part of the world right now is also you. May that awareness be shine upon each and every one of us, Bhagwan. Okay. So the last time around, we contemplated on the concept of Mithya and you're giving up Sathya. And let's just briefly go through the passage which was given to us. Some people resort to meditation in the belief that there is some power greater than themselves which they must experience. People also undertake arduous exercises to realize some secret mysteries, mysterious and marvelous power other than themselves. This is action born of ignorance. As long as you think that there is some power higher than yourself, you are steeped in ignorance. There is nothing higher in the world than yourself, but belief in the existence of such a power is a delusion of your mind. For example, in a dream, we see all kinds of scenes and have various experiences. How far are these real? Only as long as you are in the dream state. When the dream ends, the scene becomes unreal. Likewise, as long as you are in a state of mental delusion, the joys and sorrows, the gains and losses you experience are all real. When the delusion is removed, they become unreal. Hence, all the phenomenal experiences caused by the delusion of the mind are all untrue, Mithya. Basing your life on this Mithya, you are giving up Satya, identifying yourself totally with the body, you are causing the ego, ahamkara, to grow. If you grasp this simple truth, you will develop a wide vision. There's nothing in this world other than the self. All the diverse objects are reflection of the one. For all worldly things, there is a karta, a subject which acts, karma, the result of action, and kriya, the action itself. Karta, the subject which acts, karma, the result or the consequence, and kriya, the action itself. In the sphere of the spiritual, however, there is only karta without karma and kriya. He is the doer, the action, and the result which is done. The Atmic principle which represents the unity of all these three is the one universal consciousness Chaitanya that pervades the entire cosmos. It is impossible for it to be present in some place and not in others. Then we were presented with two questions. The first, how are we giving up Satya? How do we realize that we are giving up Satya for Mithya in our day-to-day living? And question number two, the worldly experience has three aspects: the doer, causal action, and the end product. While the spiritual world, there is only the doer. What is the implication of this fact to my everyday sadhana? So these are the objectives of our presentation. I think we went all the way up the first question. So we watched this video on the difference how a Vaishnavite or a dualist approaches the concept of Atman and Paramatman. Okay. And then we went into the understanding or the fallacy of description, right? So Paramatma, if we try to describe him, so he is smaller than the smallest thing, larger than the biggest things, in totality of small and big things in the world, impossible to fully describe or understand. So this is somewhat similar to what um, the description of the true self, the description of yourself, of how it is impossible to even describe something which can't be described using the limited capacity of our language and also the mind. And so then we start to inquire deeper into the relationship of the jiva or the limited identity to the Paramatma. So once you realize that there is no such thing as the Jiva does not exist. And as Brother James said, either by the principle of shunya or negating everything, neti, 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 you realize the emptiness is also fullness. Or by what Brother James also said, not only this, not only this, not this, the concept of purnam, which means the fullness itself. So it's actually the same concept of the same coin. Of one coin, it's just a different way of looking at it. And then we moved into what is our understanding of the Lord. So we usually want to conceptualize things for us to understand. When we say the invisible Swami, it's very difficult for people to relate. So we create, like bronze statue of Swami and, multiple photographs, because it's very difficult for the mind to uh, to not have something to grasp. So it's easier for the mind to focus on something. It's easier for the concentration to be on that thing, or else it's difficult. It's very difficult for the mind at the initial stage. If the mind is not mature to a certain level or certain extent where it can perceive the isness of your presence. But if it has not ripened, it's easier for the mind to perceive an object and pour out everything to that object until it loses itself, and then it realizes that it's actually the object of concentration itself. So it can be, many ways how you can experience this divine perception of God is very limited to individual experiences. However, it's also interesting that, you have the Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman in this, the form of Lord without any attributes, the formless Brahman. And you also have uh, the Lord in forms, in the form of Rama, Krishna, and all the avatars which has come, Swami. So this brings me to the question just now when Brother Manoj was saying about the Jivan Mukta. Dr. Srikant Sola, who is also a meditation teacher, and now he has come up with this uh, Devas Unlimited. It's a spiritual company where they do Akashic readings and they do pranic healings, connect you to the angels and try to clear some blockages in your life, other things that they do. So his grandfather is a Jivan Mukta, and Swami himself has said that to him. And in one experience, he accounts this his own personal experience as a young boy. He was sitting and watching the TV, and the grandfather, who is a Jivan Mukta, was seated beside him, and the grandfather is also watching the TV. And then suddenly a thought, sprout in his mind that what is this Jivan Mukta? So called my grandfather is a Jivan Mukta, and what is he doing watching the TV? That kind of thought came into his mind. And the moment this thought came to his mind, after a few moments, the grandfather looked at him and said, you may be wondering, what is a Jivan Mukta doing watching the television? Then he looks at Dr. Shrikant Sola and says, for Jivan Mukta, everything is like watching the television itself. Everything is part of the play. And so this brings us back to the understanding of our basic understanding of the limited self and the big self. And as Brother James quite rightfully mentioned just now, though we may intellectually um, try to grasp certain concepts and certain ideologies and whatnot, right? The experiential part of it is very important. If you don't taste the experience, or if that knowing, that knowing, that's the deep knowing that I'm not this or I am everything, if that is not there, uh, everything else will not make sense to you, will not make full sense to you. But once that experience is there, um, whatever anybody says, be it Advaita or Tao or any other philosophies, then it will all make sense to you, because it seems to emulate the experience of your present moment. And so this leads us to the difference of Satya and Mithya, because if you don't know what's um, Mithya, how are you going to negate that and move towards Satya? So in our last sharing, we went through the description of Mithya and also the description of Satya. So Satya can be considered as an absolute reality of Brahman. Somehow or other, we always have, I think it's the tendency of the human mind to always try to want wanting to look for a higher experience. I don't understand that part of it. Um, in my perspective, from my understanding, what's wrong with the present moment? What's wrong with here and now? What is wrong here? If you think something is wrong here, then what makes you think that you are going to be happy with whatever you're going to achieve later on, when what is here right now in front of you and you can't even be grateful for it, or you can't fully appreciate it? Brother Manoj said just now, like the present moment is not just about like observing, because Swami Sarvapriyananda mentioned observing means there's an observer which is observing. And who's that observer which is observing? It's your past. It's your past which is observed. The observer is your past. Your past memory constitutes the observer. So even the observer has to go. So then the question, the inquiry has to be, to whom does the observer appear? And then you should ask the question and experience it yourself, so then maybe once the realization comes and you ask that question, then it brings you to something which is indescribable. And so, but it's of course full of it can be something similar to what we say as Satchit Ananda. And so then Mithya is actually the illusory or the unreal world. Swami always puts it, the delusions that we ourselves creates. When I teach this course called the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, and during this mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, it's basically 8 weeks intense meditation-based cognitive therapy. So it challenges your thinking process, and at the same time, it gives you a very solid, basic avenue to practice meditation. So your grounding is very strong if you do this course. So on the fourth week, third to fourth week, we do something, we do a practice which is called just listening or just hearing. And the reason why this practice is so strong is because, let's just take one practice. It's called just hearing. Just hearing, the invitation of this practice is for you to imagine that you are just a microphone. You don't have to visualize that you're a microphone, no. But as you close your eyes, you are just a microphone. A function of the microphone is not to think, but to receive sounds. So from where you are seated, you are just going to receive all the sounds which come from all the directions around you, from the top of you, from below you, from the front of you, from the back of you, from both sides of you, from within the body, from outside the body, high-pitched sounds, low-pitched sounds, louder sounds, softer sounds. And the most important part is noticing the tendency of the mind to spontaneously create meaning for every single sound. Sound of the car. Oh, this is the motorbike sound. Oh, the fan. Oh, this is sound of the cricket. The reason why we do this practice is because once you start to notice sounds as just sounds, taste as just taste, sight as just sight, touch as just body sensation, and then everything in your experience becomes, the entire experience goes to another level. And from there, it's very easy for you to transition to what Brother Manoj said just now is, if you are really present in your present moment, the limited self of you, or Sabitan in my experience, does not even exist for that very moment if you're fully present. And so we go on negating, and you finally come to what is your true self. Okay, so then we move to the question 1 and question 2. In question 1, how are we giving up Satya, and how do we realize that we're giving up Satya for Mithya in our day-to-day living? And then we had a sharing from all our participants. Sairam, Sister Sharmini, did we go through this? I think we did. I just wanted to double confirm.
No, we haven't gone through this yet, brother.
Okay, then fantastic, Sister. Can you start off by reading the first? Yeah. So the question was, the question is, how are we giving up Satya? How do we realize that we're giving up Satya for Mithya in our day-to-day living? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Sister.
so what I had shared was during work, I seldom take doership and end results of the treatment when I treat my patients. Even whenever while bringing up the children, I do my part, but I don't take ownership of it. So basically, just do the action, but surrender the results of the action and not look for the results of the action. Yeah, that was my contribution actually.
Thank you, Sister Sharmini. Sister Shanta, are you here?
Yes,
Yes,
Sairam,
Sister. Sairam, Sister.
what I have said is you just can't give up the ultimate truth, but the worldly truth, because you are every day living in the world, you experience something in the world, and you think that is the truth. By doing the worldly activities, we are giving up the ultimate truth. That's what I have said.
Okay, thank you, Sister. Sister Purnima, are you here? Okay, so Sister Purnima says to give up something, we should know what it is. What is it? Just be yourself to realize Satya beyond the Mithya by exclusion. Fantastic. Sister Deepa? Saram, sister, are you here? Okay, so Sister Deepa said that by surrendering, we come to understanding the ultimate truth and coming out from Mithya. Keep doing the duty and not expecting the fruits of it. Sister Cindy, are you here, sister? Okay, so Sister Cindy says, I identify the things I spend my time and energy worldly, then I'm giving up. Or if I identify the things I spend my time and energy worldly things, then I'm giving up Satya. Oh, okay. Then and then she was supposed to explain on the roles we play. So she said that if she identifies to the time and energy spent on worldly things, then she's giving up Satya. So that's how she's aware. So I think all the the sisters here, the answers are quite cohesive. That um, some of them said just by surrendering we can understand the ultimate truth, and also not taking the doership of things. Swami mentioned in the passage as well, there is only the doer when it comes to the spiritual, from the spiritual perspective, there's only the doer. There is no action and there's no consequence to it. The only problem is when we identify ourselves as the doer, then everything else becomes a consequence to our own mind thinking that we are the one who did it. And also, they all say that when we identify ourselves with worldly activities and worldly tendencies, this actually brings us away from the ultimate. So the way to do that is, of course, to introspect, and also being aware of these tendencies. Let's say if I ask everyone here who is on this satsang, right, to give me a percentage of each vices in your mind at the moment. How many percent of karma is in there? How many percent of you know uh, kama, krodha, moha, mada, matsarya, right? So 6. So how many percent of each of these vices in terms of karma, lust, how many percent is still inside you? And then how in terms of anger, in terms of lobha, in terms of greed, and then in terms of attachment, right? And pride, how many percent is still in you? If you don't introspect, how do you know if it's there or not? How do you know just based by um, moving outwards, which most people are doing, and that is called like the autopilot. Autopilot, we are all like in a robot, the mind, and just keep on going, because this is like the lowest level of awareness. You are in the just in like the mind and your action, that's it. There's no awareness to it. Then you step out of the autopilot. You put a full stop. So either something happens in your life, or Swami comes to your life, or you yourself realize that, oh my God, what's happening? Why is my life like this? And then you start to take one step back, and then you break your entire experience. And then you step out of the autopilot mode. And then you start to view everything from the perspective of a witness. And then that witness grows and grows and grows and grows. And then you start to introspect within yourself as you do your personal sadhana. And then oh, these are in the 6 vices Swami has laid out, which is my number 1, which is my number 2, which is my number 3. So how do I work on the number 1? How do I work to reduce the number 2? How do I work to reduce the number 3? Of course, the other way to go around it is we can just say that, oh, I'm not the one who's doing this, and that, but that doesn't work, because eventually you still need to, go through what you need to go through. The karma still needs to happen, even though you have already, to a certain extent, disidentify yourself. But sometimes these vasanas are very sticky. They will come back again into your conscious awareness, your conscious mind. And then when it comes back, then you need to address it again. And sometimes it comes back after maybe 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, who knows, maybe another lifetime, right? So really getting introspecting, finding the vices, and then slowly trying to reduce the grip of the vices. We always are, we are always accustomed to the definition of watch. Watch your words, watch your action, watch your thoughts, watch your character, and also watch your heart. We are so accustomed and we're so comfortable with that. But there's also another um, interpretation, or another way of looking at this or praising this term. Dr. Srikant Sola says in his Satsang that Swami has said this to a bunch of delegates, and he said that he didn't use the terminology WATC. He said watch. When he said watch, he meant observe every single thing which is happening, not with attachment, but with detachment. Observe it first. And then once this skill of observation becomes more, the sense of alertness becomes more prevalent, or the quality becomes florid in your experience, then the alertness brings you to, I can't describe it, but you will have another stage in conscious experience, that 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 is the background for your sleep, wake, and your dream cycle. Your waking, sleeping, and dreaming cycle. There's another stage which comes simultaneously. So that even though when you're asleep, you are actually aware, fully aware, but in a very, very, very restful state.
Dr. Sabitan, we have 1 more minute.
Yeah.
Before
So
10.
I think we shall end it here.
You have some more? No. So you continue next week?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I have someone next week. So maybe we can pause here, and yeah, we can continue next week from the elephant exercise.